All right.
I'm curious how much it actually catches, because I know as soon as there's three of us, it goes down to like really tight.
I think the frame that you're seeing right now is the frame that we
Yeah.
get. Yeah.
Which actually, hey Mel, can you swap frames to the one where we're a little bit longer? I'm curious what that looks like. It might not be as good for shorts, but I'm curious. I know.
We
Ooh.
didn't see a single change.
Yeah, I didn't see a change. I'll be curious. While Mel takes a look at that, hey guys, welcome to Lunch with the Boys. And if you're new here, my name is Cody Anderson. I am joined by Jordan Vogel and James Green, which I just realized, James, we didn't put your we didn't put your last name on there. Let me edit that quick. We're adding it. We're
Okay, everyone
fixing
knows me. You don't have to. Everyone knows James.
I was gonna say,
Oh,
boom.
there's
That's
the
what I was
shot.
talking about. I was kind of like, hey, can we open it up, make it a little bit wider for us? Because I kind of like this view if there's
Yeah.
gonna
So
be
now
three of
people
us.
get to see my whole room, Cody. What the fuck, dude?
That's what we wanted to do. We're outing Jordan today. That's what this whole episode is about. We're going to be diving into Jordan's backstory, everything that led him into this point. No. 100%. We're actually going to be diving into stats. We brought James along. You remember him last month, I think, from where we were talking about some developer stuff. But we wanted to bring him on, talk about some stats, some metrics, and things to keep track of. Because if you're a small business owner, if you are a side hustler, if you're doing anything online, you recognize Google Analytics, all of the different Yoast, SEO, SEMrush, Ahrefs, Moz, all of these different software products give you a bunch of different stats of who's visiting your site. How do you keep track of all those sites? And you can really easily get bogged down by a bunch of these. I call them vanity metrics, but I'm curious. We wanted to dive into it, and I wanted to start that off by looking at numbers that look nice but don't actually matter. You guys have any examples of that?
Yeah, I could probably speak of impressions versus reach, because you
Yeah.
probably see like your stats are like super high in impressions, but I think the one that really matters is reach. So difference is like impression is like the total number of times your ad or post will be like displayed on a screen, and regardless of whether it's like clicked or even noticed, it's gonna capture that. And then
Mm.
reach is actually the unique individuals who saw your ad or post. So imagine you have like a digital billboard, right? And you're promoting like a local business directory or something like that. So if John drives past the same billboard like 5 times as it continued this week, that's 5 impressions right there. But since it's only John who's seeing it, he's the only one reach, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Well, it
you
also
get a
counts when you
bunch.
refresh pages, right?
Yeah, so it's still gonna be the same unique person though, because you're gonna get your IP grab that way. So
Mm.
you're gonna still be the one reach. So you might have like 10,000 impressions, but only maybe 500 reach. If it's even less, then that's a good indication that okay, you got a bunch of bots crawling your site right now and indexing it, doing that kind of stuff. So that kind of muddies the water a little bit. So I'd
Yeah.
say if you got like a high reach, you're doing great.
Yeah.
Cody, you do a lot with like your videos and everything. I have to imagine there's a stat in there where it's kind of like playbacks or something like that, where it's like someone watches your short and just
Mm.
watch like had like I know I'm someone who does this where I will like start a short and then like leave and go to the store and come back and that short is still playing on my computer, and so it's
Yeah.
like do those people sit there and get some bloated stat that's like, oh hey, this video was watched 300 times yesterday, but like it was all just from me.
I do. So I think that's a strategy for socials, and I want to kind of differentiate here because there is that idea of like social media where you're talking about impressions and likes and all of that. And I feel like if you're a side hustler and you're on TikTok, you're on whatnot, you're thinking of, okay, my TikTok got 100,000 impressions, 100,000 people saw it. But how much engagement did you actually get? How many likes did you actually get? Um, I do know it's a strategy when you're doing short form content to make like a 7 to 10 second long video that will play on loop, because a lot of people will start a TikTok video and put their phone down to like listen to it. And if it's
Mhm.
a 10 second long video and they're going to use the bathroom, they're going to listen to that 5 or 6 times while they're using the bathroom. And so that is definitely a strategy. Now, the question is that valuable? Like there's so many metrics. And James, to your point, I think if you're running a small business and you own a Google business profile, and you can see impressions on your profile, you can see how many people see it, but you don't get reach. I don't think you get unique visitors to like Google business profiles and things like that. Where do you normally see reach when you're looking at the stats, James?
Yeah, I mean, you can see it in Google Analytics too. That's probably like the biggest one, and that would really help with like people marketing see like actually results. So let's say like the first week you put up like a Facebook feed, right? So like local like business owner, right? Let's say it disappears on the screen for like 10,000 times. Okay, so 10,000 impressions.
Mhm.
So you're gonna think, oh wow, those numbers are great. We're getting a lot of people view this though. But actually, if you look into it, so people check, as Jordan said, people check their phones constantly. So the same user probably seen the same ad twice or three times, right? So when a team actually looks at the data, they might realize, okay, so actually maybe only 4,000 unique out of 10,000 might have saw that. So that's when they actually kind of see those numbers to really shift. Google Analytics has a good metric to kind of capture that to see, again, just by IP addresses. So they're going to know, okay, the same phone, same device, same whatever, saw this again and again and again. You're going to see that value. Okay, that's the actual real value you want to pay attention to.
I will say, I know in like Facebook ads, which if you are doing any media buying, if that's something you're interested in, we do have a course on media buying. It's something that we can help you out with. Feel free to reach out. But that being said, when you're running Facebook ads, they always they give you this is how many impressions you're paying for. Like this is your reach that you're expecting, and they kind of conflate those terms. So definitely differentiating them. Now, are either of you like active on TikTok or short form videos other than what we're doing right here? No.
Like actively making them ourselves, or
Yeah. Like actively like
or
involved in
doom
content
scrolling?
creation.
No, I've had some
Uh,
ideas recently of some things that maybe I kind of wanted to dive into, but I haven't gotten the ball rolling on that. But like I've got some ideas, but no, I wouldn't say I am anymore. I
This was
used
about a time
to.
ago. I used to do like video game clips a while ago.
Yeah.
This was like way back then, back in Instagram. I think I want to say
Yeah, I was gonna say
2018 or
it,
something like that. But
like I did the same thing like back when I got like a PS4 and you could like click a button and then
Yeah.
share whatever you were doing right to YouTube right from it. And I thought that was awesome, but like it was never short form. It wasn't like, you couldn't doom scroll my content.
Yeah.
Although the way that I formed my videos was short clips. It was like kind of like a montage of different clips. It was pretty much all mine would be.
I'm imagining like the old what was the YouTube channel with all the old gaming clips? Oh my goodness, that's gonna bother me.
I don't know. I don't know that I ever watched a YouTube channel just for clips. I watched an actual television channel back in the day, like G4 TV.
oh,
God,
yeah.
what was that one guy's name? There was like one like a dude who like hosted the thing. I would if I saw him today, I would definitely still
Do you
recognize him.
do you
But
mean
like
Olivia Munn? Not
no,
the
she was
dude.
on it, but
Okay.
like the male host, like the main guy, like he had like blonde spiky hair. Um
Ooh.
I could
Oh,
see
that's
him, but I just can't
yeah,
name him. Like
yeah,
he's
I keep
there.
wanting to say like Sean, but
that's
like I don't think that's it. I keep thinking like Sean Evans, like the Hot Ones guy, but it's a completely different person.
I was gonna say, isn't Sean Evans bald? Not spiky and blonde.
Yeah, but like
Uh,
that's where my name, like the name keeps going to. But
mhm.
no, look up G4 TV, TV host. Look for a blonde spiky haired person.
We'll drop that in the
So,
chat. Oh, that's hilarious.
email
But
us if you guys know, please. Let us know.
Yeah, yeah.
email,
Email
we
us.
only accept
Schedule a meeting
email.
with Cody, www.goodrep.com/chat, I believe, or
No, no.
goodrep.media/
Boom.
yeah,
/chat. Good rep
yeah,
media. Goodrep.media/chat.
yeah.
We can
But
chat
it is
about it.
slash chat. My brain was too on the is it slash chat or not? And I said .com, but yeah.
I got you. The dot media TLD is honestly pretty cool.
It's
But
really cool.
I want to bring this back. We're talking about stats and we're talking about, I want to really highlight the vanity metrics. So if you're creating content, if you're a restaurant, if you're a small business owner and you're putting out content and you get 1,000 views, that's great. You're building an audience. How many follows? How big did your page actually get from that? Did you actually get customers that booked from that? Did you have a call to action in your video? There's a lot of ways to kind of look at, especially video content, where you can analyze those kind of metrics and see what actually matters. Now, similarly, if you're running on Google Analytics and you're watching that, on your website, watching traffic, seeing where they're going, what they're doing, and what they're clicking. If you're getting an average of 500 users to your website a day, and that books you out every single day, and then all of a sudden you notice that you're averaging 1,000 customers and you're not booking out, something's changed, something's happened. Watching and paying attention to those stats, how many customers are coming in, or how many leads are hitting your site, and how many leads are actually converting, are really important. Similarly, ranking stats. I mentioned this because I was looking at the massage therapist stats earlier, and we are now averaging a rank of 4 in our analytics as opposed to averaging a rank of 8. We've now ranked number 1 in MLD, which is sick. Like, paying attention to the stats of actually, hey, we're ranking better. Cool. How many clicks are we getting from those ranks? MLD, we're now ranking in the snack pack, and we've gotten 18 clicks in the last 3 days. That's an actionable, hey, 18 clicks onto our Google business profile, onto our website from this. And that's phenomenal.
And then you start taking it one step further from that and start like looking at like, okay, when did my clicks go up? Now let's look at my conversions and see like, okay, does that clicks actually convert into conversions, or not convert into conversions? That's stupid. Like like like, you know, but is that turning into a profit for me? Is it doing the thing we need it to? And if not, then that's when, you know, this is when we need to now change the funnel a little bit, because now we're getting the clicks. Now we have to tweak a little further down the line. The good thing about these metrics is they really tell you what you need to be doing.
Yeah. And I feel like in today's day and age, there's a deluge of information. And so when you're setting up tracking metrics, James, what would you suggest on your website you pay attention to? So if you're a small business owner, what do you think you need to, hey, what are the important ones?
Well, to me as a developer, I think the number one for me is bounce rate. So for anyone who doesn't know, that's the percentage of visitors who like come to your site and then immediately leave like a second later. So what they don't click anything, don't really see anything, they just see it and they just don't want to do anything with it. So high bounce rate usually means something is going wrong with their messaging, or your site is either confusing, or it's like super slow, or it just didn't really like match what the ad promised them. They see it, it looks sketchy maybe, so just get out right away. That means your messaging is completely wrong somewhere, or your website optimization is just poor. So it loads forever. They don't want to wait around. They're just going to get out. To me, I think that is the most essential one to check first. If you got a high one, you're not going to get anyone pay attention to your site or even caring about your site at all. So that's going to be number one.
So when you're looking at bounce rate, diagnosing the actual issue of bounce rate, there's also a checklist there that I'm 100% sure you go through. And you mentioned a couple of them. So bounce rate, you land, someone leaves, and if they're leaving, I'm immediately thinking of all those spam sites that have ads in every nook and cranny. You click on, you're like, I want to read this article from a Facebook feed or something like that. And then it hits you with that pop-up that takes up the whole screen. There's the cookies where you have to accept or deny. I click off. That's awful. I hate stuff like that. That's kind of what you're mentioning, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, if your messaging looks like you are scammy and they don't want to do anything with you, then you have a problem, because you might be a legit business. It's just you don't have the presentation of one. So you might be the best mousetrap seller at all, but then again, if you're running AdSense, got a bunch of ads everywhere, a bunch of coupons, or let's say if you're running, mousetrap, let's say, but then someone's actually looking for an exterminator, not selling the actual mousetrap itself, you're kind of confusing your audience. They're going to think, okay, you're a completely different business. I don't want to mess with you. You don't have what I need.
Yeah, I think that's really important actually to note, and I hadn't considered that. So we have actually run into this issue, and if you're running a small business or if you're running ads, your page can cannibalize other pages, and your page can be broad. Mousetraps and exterminators is a good one. If you're selling mousetraps and you're selling exterminator equipment, and then you get random consumers who are landing on your site and they're like, yeah, I want to hire an exterminator, but you are only selling exterminator equipment to exterminators, your messaging is off. You're doing something wrong. And when someone lands on your site, they're like, oh, this isn't for me. They're clicking off. So I think that definitely you're going to need to change up something on your site.
No, 100%.
Oh, good.
As I say,
we do have a question.
Yeah, we got some questions over here. We actually have 2 of them. Oh, wait. Nope. Never mind. Did the thing where it was 2 of the same questions over there. What's more important, more leads or better conversion rates? Or does it solely depend on your business goal? Anybody have anything they want to jump on with that?
Well, I think it's more important for like a conversion rate to like understand. This is a little bit broad, and it definitely depends on your business. So if you are getting 100 leads and you're converting 2% of them, uh, I'm thinking of this as in link building. I'm going to use link building as an example. When we write a web page or we create a web page for a local business, and we're like, hey, we want to include local resources, just as a rough idea. We'll reach out to a bunch of local businesses and be like, hey, we're creating a local resources page. You are a nonprofit, you're the Chamber of Commerce, you're whatever business in a local area. We would love to link out to your resource. Would you like to, be included on our page? Can we write an article for you guys? Do something to like create a relationship with these businesses. Now, say our salesman who's doing that, our person who's reaching out, converts 5% of people, 1 out of 20. Phenomenal. That's great. We can work on increasing that conversion rate up to 10%, or we can double the amount of people that they talk to, but we're limited based on the audience of small businesses in Cape Coral in this example. So how quickly do you want to burn the leads because you have a limited amount versus how much do you want to work on that conversion rate to actually get people to convert? There's a lot of a nuance, and I might be missing some of it there, but it really does depend on the size of your audience, I think.
And I think the quality of your audience too, because yeah, you can have like a really high like lead count, right? And how many people you're reaching out to, how many people coming to you. But if only like 5% are converting, I think that's also another message in itself. Maybe you're attracting the wrong kind of audience to your website that you need to. Maybe somehow accidentally got outside of Cape Coral. So why would anyone outside of Cape Coral care? Maybe only 5% that actually lives there actually know those businesses.
Yeah.
But
And then like your product, and sorry if I maybe missed in this was said, like the product in which you are trying to convert and sell is a big part of it. I did bathtubs, where like
Yeah.
we were selling $18,000 bathtubs, 1 out of every 12 leads would convert, but that was good. That like
Yeah.
we had a good team that like we were like, hell yeah, 1 out of 12, we're doing well. But if like it's a $50 product, $100 product, you don't want 1 in 12 leads to sell. You're going to need a much higher conversion rate there. So really, ultimately, it comes down to what it is you're selling, what your profit margins look like, and really how much those leads are valued at, because
Yeah. Well, and
there's value in leads, like the money itself behind them.
Well, yeah, and I'm even thinking of, okay, so you had 12 people who are interested in bathtubs. You're going to have a larger audience for cheaper things, just in general.
Yeah.
And finding your niche and finding your audience and what works best, I think, is much more important than worrying about more leads or better conversion rates. I think it's find your niche, get any leads, and then dial it in. And dialing it in is when you're going to be looking at those stats and you're gonna be like, okay, bet I'm getting a really bad bounce rate. I need to change up my Facebook ad targeting. I need to change up my local area ads. I need to change up how I'm going about my ads, my traffic, or my pages, how everything is set up. Now,
yeah,
we're talking about numbers that actually move the needle, the ones that actually matter, the things that you should pay attention to. One that I haven't brought up yet, lifetime value of a lead. How would you go about calculating lifetime value if you're a small business?
I think a lot of the times it kind of depends. Again, I hate to be the one who comes back to like the same thing I said, but like it's what it is. Like your business matters, like what you're selling, like a lifetime customer for a bathtub really probably isn't that big of a deal, seeing as how they're probably not going to be buying bathtubs all the time. But like if you have a product that is going to like people are going to keep purchasing, they're going to want more of things like that, you want to find ways to definitely stretch out how long those people are going to be your customers, because the longer they are brand loyal to you, the longer you're going to have a consistent income of sales.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in a service-based business, I think this is where it becomes a lot more important. So for example, we help an esthetician business, and as she is growing, we were able to kind of go back and forth with her and be like, hey, so lifetime value of a lead, like we're running some ads and you were worried about spending, I think we were getting up there for like $50 to get a booked facial lead. And she's like, well, that's like almost all of my profit for like the service, and I'm actually losing out on the like items because it does take some of the items, some of her supply, some of her products in order to do the service. And so she's like, I'm actually losing out if I spend $50 for a lead. And it's like, well, how often does someone who books a service book again? And it's like, oh, well, 80% of the time they book again while they're in store. It's like, okay, bet. And then when they book again, you didn't pay anything for that lead, right? And what are the chances that they book again after that second time? Okay, they booked again. They 80% chance they book again. If they book twice, the chances that they book a third time is actually like 99%, because now they're your customer for life because they've had 2 great services in a row and you can provide that great service. Now, coming up with that 80%, that 90%, whatever that conversion rate for the second service and then the third service is really important. But recognizing, hey, so if you lose money on that first service, but you can guarantee 80% of those people come back for another, and then out of those 80 that come back, almost all of them will come back for a third, you're in the profit. You've grown your customer list. It is worth losing a little bit of money on that first service, so long as you can continue to make money and not need to find another customer. And that's just a way of thinking about your customers that I feel like some people have struggled with, but also I feel like a lot of people realize, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, James, I just want to give you a heads up. I do believe that you are now muted. I think that we had our producer do that just because we were getting a little bit of audio feedback coming from you. So if you have any feedback or anything, feel free to unmute that and chime back in. But I think we were starting to hear like some like tearing paper noises or something. I don't know. Cody, could you hear it?
Really? Okay. Is it
I heard a little bit
better now, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you sound good.
Yep. Yeah.
Is it better? Okay.
It was definitely picking something up. I saw the blue ring. I thought, was that our producer making that noise? And I sent them a message, and then they were like, "That's not me." And I was like, "All right."
Oh, it might be like something rubbing against my Mac. I'm using my built-in microphone for this right now. So something must have been.
So
if doing it again, just kick me off.
I got a little distracted by that, trying to figure that out. Cody, can you re-put your question?
Oh, yeah. So we're just talking about lifetime value of a lead and recognizing that I feel like a lot of people think about it, but they don't actually do the math. And if you're in a service-based business, if you've got customers, calculating that out is probably really important, because you are going to want to spend a little bit more per lead than you realize.
Yeah, and especially because
and that's something
with a service-based and a service-based company, like you kind of have a pretty good idea of what your overhead looks like all the time. Like there's not a whole lot of change in like what your prices look like. So it becomes a little bit easier to kind of be able to break down and figure out the value of your customer, because you're not going to have like different variables coming in like you sometimes do with like product-based companies, where it's like, oh no, now all of a sudden what I'm selling is going to cost more, so we have to raise the price for that. I mean, there's obviously still going to be variables in every industry, but I feel like you hit them a little bit less when it's service-based versus like actual product-based. Yeah. And so it becomes a little bit easier for you to kind of figure out both the value of your time and of every individual customer that you get.
Yeah. And you think about the cost it took to get you that customer in the first place, and that's actually a metric called cost per acquisition. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be the cost that you actually are paying on ads just to close somebody, right? So imagine you spend like, let's say $50 on Facebook ads, right? And you finally get the one customer to come in and serve your business. Okay, so the business is, $100, let's say, for the facial spa. Well, that person keeps coming back and again and again and again. They spend $500 in total. Your cost per acquisition is still only $50. So you gain a net margin of $450 on just that one person alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's worth noting, we've mentioned this a few times. This is the Joey Matterhorn channel, so you should be familiar with affiliate marketing by this point. But if you're not, CPA, CPL, a lot of these cost per lead, cost per acquisition are very common terms in affiliate marketing. And there's a lot of math that goes into figuring out what those numbers are. So I'm going to use this as an example. Credit Karma. Credit Karma has an affiliate offer. Credit Karma pays money to get people to download and use Credit Karma. Credit Karma is a free app. It doesn't cost you anything to use it. You can just sign up and use it. Now, what is Credit Karma making money on while you're in the app? Well, they definitely have a lifetime value of a customer. Every single person who downloads their app is worth money. Now, 90% of them might not spend money, but 10% of them are. And those 10% are spending $100, which means everyone counts for an extra dollar and they're willing to pay some money for even a free app download. Growing that audience, being able to build out the lists, recognizing, hey, so if I get millions of people on Credit Karma, it has brand awareness, brand recognition. As long as we're making our money back and we're staying even, we're building our list. We're building this audience that we can now reach out to with new offers. We can monetize and do new things with me. And so, for example, our massage therapist client, he came to us with a list of like 460 clients last year and was like, hey, this is my email list. Like, this is awesome. Have you emailed them? No. What are we doing with this? We're going to upload them and we're going to put them in Massage Book. Great. In the past year, we've doubled that list. We've also emailed it a few times. And that list, he's going to keep with him forever. So he paid us as a marketing company to build up that list, but that's his. He has a list of 900 and something local people who have paid for his service that he's going to be able to take and message and do whatever he wants with forever. And I think that type of value is huge. And not enough people think about those email lists because they don't think about sending out emails.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I agree. I do want to jump over. I see we have another question over here on the side. What if, for example, you're a brand new business, or if a business owner, sorry, that felt a little weird, weirdly weirded to me, or if a business owner feels overwhelmed, what is the first metric they should focus on?
Well, to kind of close us out, I want to bring this to a point. Keep it simple. It is so easy to get bogged down by a lot of stats. I mean, how we're talking about like cost per acquisition, we're talking about running ads, we're talking about impressions and clicks versus actual like watch times. You can get really nitty gritty on the different stats. And you can also really get bogged down checking them daily. I would highly suggest pick 2 or 3 stats that matter to you: website visits, form fills, and then purchases. Whatever it might be, pick a couple to track and then track them weekly. Try not to get bogged down every single day. If you're out there providing a service, if you're out there hustling, you don't have the time to sit there looking at stats every single day. Make it consistent, because I think consistency is huge. But yeah, find a few to focus on, not 20.
Absolutely. Yeah, not one individual, because a lot of the times, like, if you think, oh, I got to find one stat to look at, you're going to look at your conversions or your sales, and then it's like, oh, like, why aren't these as high as I want them to be? And it's like, well, it's because you got to look at these other stats to figure out what you're doing wrong to make that one go right. A lot of people will just look at the final number and not look at every little part, every block that builds up your company. Like, you look at CPC, you look at like anything that James has talked about or you have talked about, because I haven't really mentioned really any metrics personally, but like, you guys look at like the stats you guys talk about, and like those are foundationally like what leads to your conversions and your sales and everything. Mm-hmm. So like, naturally you're going to want to look at sales, and you absolutely need to look at that one. Like, that's one that you can't just be like, we'll worry about that later. It's like, no, that's what you need to worry about right away. But that number is going to be driven by those other numbers. So like, I do think, like, yes, that is the first metric you need to focus on, but also like, it's very important that is not the only metric that you focus on.
Yeah. And I would say it depends on what stage you're at, because if you're just launching a brand new like brand, and I mean, I'm sure, James, you've built a brand new site, you put some analytics on, and you're not worried about people filling out the form. You're worried about seeing people on the site. You want to see some actual traffic. You want to see how people interact with your site. So it depends on what your goal is at the end of the day. There's different stages of development. Now, mind you, if you're a brand new business, your goal is probably to make profit. But I've known a number of businesses who are not necessarily at the stage of ready to making a profit. They're at the stage of, we need to make a website and a brand, and we need to get all of this going. So depending on where you're at, man, I feel like it could be different.
Yeah, I feel like awareness is probably the first one you want to recognize too, just personally. Because I mean, if you're just starting out and you don't have anything, let's say no website, no means for anyone to come and understand your business,
Mm-hmm.
try to get yourself out there at least through Facebook or Instagram, any kind of social platform, and just understand like what are you getting as far as like how many impressions you're getting, how many people are actually looking at you, how many people are seeing you, want to interact with you. Where is the most successful way to do it? Is it through Facebook? Is it through Google Ads? Is it through emailing? Whatever. Find out revenue that actually works for you and then really dial down on that because that's where you're going to get your most cost per click, cost per acquisition, the highest. That's when you get the best revenue out of it.
Yeah.
I'd say website's a hard second. That's when you really want to see how many people actually come to your site, actually interacting with it, and can they get to the button, can they get to the form, can they get to the cart or the purchase? How easy is it for them to get to that? I mean, if you have a site already, you see those metrics like bounce rate high, that's going to be indicating a problem. People may want your product, but they have a difficult time getting to your product or understanding how to reach your product. So
Yeah,
I'd say those are the nice little beginning ones.
The UI UX, man, oh, it is huge. I've seen so many sites with bad UI UX that's just miserable to access, and I don't I don't know what they want me to do.
Yeah.
And realize the problem, yes.
Well, with that said, I do want to at least make it known that if your sales are dropping, making knee-jerk reactions and making a bunch of changes is probably not great. Something we're not the best at is making knee-jerk reactions based on day-to-day data. So pay attention to trends. There are changes that happen outside of just your site. There are algorithm changes. There are software changes. There's new things coming out constantly. So staying up to date, being able to actually track all those things is really huge. Again, today we were kind of looking at metrics, things that you want to pay attention to if you're actually getting in there and wanting to start a business, if you're wanting to side hustle, if you're wanting to make money, you need to pay attention to stats. You need to look at what's coming in, what's going out, what you're spending on, and doing some math on what matters. Any final points you guys want to drop for the guys, for the people listening?
If you're a new business owner, try not to be too disheartened by stats. Look at them as almost opportunities to grow. Like don't look at it and be like, this is not going how I want. Like it's easy to give up. I did like a little Amazon thing not that long ago that didn't convert well, and I kind of gave up on it. So like I'm being a little hypocritical here, but like those are things that I just need to dive back in and get going at. Like it's easy to look at a low number and think, that sucks, and then move on. But like realistically, that's just telling you the work you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say, yeah, look at the numbers and recognize patterns, pattern recognition, see what actually is moving a needle up. You're not going to know right away as soon as you launch your business. You got to try different things out, A/B testing, try Instagram, Facebook. And then you're going to realize, okay, I need to put all my time and effort more on Instagram because I'm getting 50% more than I am on Facebook. You're going to have to start doing trial and errors. And that's where a team can help you bridge those different gaps for you really come in handy.
Yeah. And with that said, if you're interested in talking to me, goodrep.media/chat. We'll drop a link. We'll drop it in the chat. But we help small businesses. We help people who are side hustling. If you are interested in figuring out some side hustles, we do have a course on flipping. We go live every Monday and Tuesday at noon to talk about, side hustles, life, the mindset behind marketing. If that's something that interests you, like, comment, subscribe, do all the things to tell the robots that you enjoy this type of content. It does really help us out. Now, I want to say, as a final talking point here, numbers are important. Don't let it get disheartened. I think, Jordan, you have the tall and short of it. Your numbers are going to be a lot smaller than everyone else. Your numbers are not going to be huge when you first start off. You're going to need to find your niche. You're going to need to find your audience. You're going to need to find the people who are interested in you. Finding that is hard. That's why everyone who talks about wanting to be content creators is really difficult. It's also why we've been at this for almost a year, and we're building that audience, but it ain't huge yet. I am still pretty proud of us, though.
Me too. I'm proud of our consistency.
Yeah, proud of our consistency, and that's one of the things that you should keep up on. But that said, thanks so much for joining us. Going a little bit over today. Thanks so much for joining us, James. Talk about some stats, talk about your view of them as a developer. Thanks, Jordan, for being on as always. And thank you, the viewer, for joining us for Lunch with the Boys. If you are interested, we're going to be going live a little bit later today with the man himself on the Joey Matterhorn channel. We're going to be talking about smart flippers a little bit more in depth. I think we're going to be doing that around 3 today. So come join. We'd love to see you for that. And if not, we'll see you tomorrow on the Good Rep Media channel, where we're going to be talking about our improv show that we had last night. It was pretty glorious. We had a really nice showing. I think we're both pretty confident that we nailed it, at least compared to everyone else on that stage. So if you're interested in hearing about those stories, join us tomorrow for that. But
it was hard
again,
to not
James.
talk about it today.
I'm not proud of us, man.
What I'm proud of is the fact that I haven't talked about it until right now. Have a good one.
Hell yeah. Well, with that, we're going to end this call and go talk about it as a group. Like I said, join us tomorrow if you want. But thanks so much. I appreciate it, guys. And we'll see you tomorrow.